So, welcome everybody to the Black and Global Business Network monthly webinar.
Mm,
I'm Melissa Muhammad, the founder and CEO of Black and Global. So,
oh my
what we're going to
goodness.
be doing tonight is something a little different. Well, first of all, we have two amazing speakers that are going to be talking to us tonight about um, creating a $1 billion bloodline, building $1 billion bloodline. I love that tag because it
Mm,
doesn't make any sense for us to do all this work, all this sacrificing, and we're
right.
not building that $1 billion bloodline. And in addition to that, what we're going to be having is tonight a Miracle, who is our director of outreach, and she's based in Rwanda. So we're
Yes.
going to start with Miracle tonight, leaning into hosting these webinars. That's the beautiful thing about young people, Tony and Marlon.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Miracle is she's from Nigeria. She's based in Rwanda, and so
Mm,
she's on with us tonight as well. So one of Black and Global's core principles is we build American businesses with African talent, and so
mm,
Miracle is a part of that talent pipeline that is contributing to our growth. And she's 25, and she's going to be our co-host tonight. So Marlon and Tony, she's going to be asking you all some questions, and this is also support for me not feeling very well right now.
okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so with that, we're going to introduce Marlon and Tony. So Marlon, and then they're going to make a presentation about this $1 billion bloodline. So Marlon, you want to tell everybody about yourself?
Yes. In fact, we have a presentation deck that we've
Oh,
prepared. So you tell
okay.
us you want us just to, I was going to go through that a little bit in our presentation deck, but whatever you like. But we're ready. I mean, Black
Okay, so
and Global Business Network, y'all don't play. Okay. All right. So we here. Okay. We here. Miracle's like, okay, Marlon, Tony, I need y'all to be here early. Let's rock and roll. So yeah, I
On
ain't playing with
time
Miracle.
and ready
Okay.
to go.
That's right. Amen. Amen. So whatever you like, Melissa, we'd be more than happy to go ahead and, begin
yes,
our presentation.
yes,
It's going to be very interactive. So may we go ahead
yes.
and
We turn it over to you all.
wonderful, wonderful. Tony, do you have capabilities to bring up the presentation deck?
Uh, I don't know if I have co-hosting or not, but I think
Miracle, does he
I
have
do.
co-hosting?
I do. So,
Okay.
Marlon, are you bringing up your portion that you're doing?
Yes, I can do that. Okay,
Okay.
great, great, great. Let me do that. Hold on one second. Boom, boom, boom. Hold on, family. Yeah, this is exciting. We are making this happen. I'm really excited. Really am. All right, so here we go. Okay, and we'll do it play. Okay, great. You know what, Tony? Hold on one second. Let me go back. Okay, here we go. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen, and then I'll go ahead and begin. First of all, I want everyone to go ahead and type in the chat box where are you watching from? Okay, where do you live? This is going to be interactive. My name is Marlon Smith. I'm really grateful to be here. Sister Melissa is amazing, as you know, and working with Miracle has been incredible. We are the three M's. Okay, let me just put it out there right now. We are three M's. All right, so y'all better get ready. Not M&M, but MMM. All right, so we got Indianapolis here. Wonderful Indianapolis, and just type where you are.
Circle City.
Upper Marlboro, right? Tampa. Come on, somebody. All right. This is good. This is good. And so you listen, I'm just really grateful because you're in the right place at the right time. And Tony and I are committed to making a difference. So let me go ahead and share my screen and we're gonna rock and roll. Let's see. Boom, boom. Okay. All right. Can everyone, if you just give me a thumbs up, I'm sure you can see my screen. Okay. Here we go. Let's go from the beginning. So, one of the things I do want to share with you is that we're the Real Money Coach. And basically, we're here to inspire, to empower individuals, families, and business owners to maximize their potential. And as Sister Melissa was talking about, it's one thing to say, hey, we're making this money, we're doing it, but we got to think long term. All right. I even heard at the beginning, South Africa, and what a phenomenal opportunity for those that are in the automotive industry to be able to come and actually come to South Africa. I used to live in South Africa. My South African name is Sipo, and Sipo means gift in the Zulu language. And so I want you to know you have to expand. And that's why I love Black and Global Business Network, right? We got to think business, we got to think global, and we also have to think legacy. So we may want to add to it Black and Global Legacy Business Network. Why? Because I want you to understand what we do today will dictate where we'll be tomorrow. And so with that, one of the things, this is my family. This is my why. What is your why? Right? And you can see that's my mom in the middle, that's my brother. And I want you to understand that my
Excuse
mom
me,
has seven
Marlon. I'm
We
sorry,
girls.
lost your screen. We
can't
we
see
lost
the
your
image.
screen.
Oh, did you lose my screen? Okay, I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Okay. Tony, I may need you to bring it up. For some reason, yeah, maybe it would be better if you bring it up for me and I'll just say, can we do that, Tony?
Yep.
Yeah, let me technology is great when it works, right?
Right. We're not gonna say nothing about the user. Okay. All
There you go.
right.
There you go.
Here we go. All right.
And that's about the team. Okay. So I want you to understand, just like Melissa was saying, miracle. I've been to Rwanda, and I'm gonna tell you, it's a phenomenal country, right? I was there. I went for a wedding, one of my friends, and one of the things I was just really touched, especially when you go through the museum, where they talk about, what happened, right? I mean, man, I just remember tears, just overwhelmed with just emotion. But I want you to know that we're in the right place at the right time because Sister Melissa and her team are about how do we create legacy wealth? Okay, legacy wealth. So here I am, and this is my family, as you can see. And what I'm really excited about is the fact that this is my why. My son, my daughter, my three nieces, my two nephews are here in this picture. My mom, my brother, and the reason why I want you to understand is I'd like for you right now to tell me what is your why. Type it in the chat box. What are you doing this for? Because let me be honest with you. In February 2009, I received a call, and the call was one of the most depressing, sad, shocking calls. My brother Sean, 2 years younger than me, had passed away. And I made a commitment at the wake, at the service. I said, whatever I do for my children, I'm going to do for your daughter, Jordana. And that's Jordana right in front of me. And I've done my best. And so, whatever legacy wealth opportunities I have my children in, I also have Jordana. Well, guess what? 7 months later, my brother Greg, 8 years younger than me, passed away. And he has four children. And I said, whatever I do for my children, I'm going to do for my two nieces and nephews. And so, what I'm saying to you is, what is your why? What is your why? And it's so important that we know what our why is because when you have your why, the next thing you know where you're going. And that will give you the fuel to keep on going. Next slide. And so I'm very grateful because Tony Jackson and I have partnered, and this is Tony's family. Okay. And it's just amazing. He now has six. This was an older picture. He has six grandkids. Okay. Or five and one on the way. But I'm counting six. All right. Because she's pregnant.
Right.
And so Tony is really a man on a mission. And and it's again legacy. What is your legacy? What is your why? Tony, next slide, please. And so one of the things about the real money coach is that we are about making a difference. And we both Tony and I are CFEI, certified financial education instructors, and all of our team members are CFEIs. Our commitment, as I said earlier, is to teach strategies and solutions so that more individuals, more families, and more business owners create legacy wealth. And so just Tony and I collectively have over 60 years. And one of the things, we've given programs in 45 states and 18 countries. As I said, I used to live in South Africa right outside of Johannesburg in an area called Sandton. And it was just phenomenal. We had 3 offices in Sandton as well as in Cape Town and Durban, and we were doing great work. Go ahead, Tony. But one of the things that we find is that there's financial concerns. I mean, even during COVID, even though during the pandemic, we saw that, yes, I mean, it was, very challenging, right? I mean, the health pandemic, COVID, people were dying, people were getting sick. But also, what COVID-19 showed us is how fragile so many families and business owners are when it comes to their money situation. The Wall Street Journal says that 78% of all Americans, regardless of income, are living paycheck to paycheck. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. And so what you see here is, I mean, if you look at it, the top 5 financial concerns, being able to save money for an emergency fund. I mean, look at these statistics. Paying my monthly bills. Look at this. Leaving dependents in a difficult financial situation should I die prematurely. I just shared with you 2 of my brothers passed away. Unexpected. Being able to leave an inheritance for my heirs and paying my mortgage or rent. Wow. And so we as a community, it's important that we focus on what are strategies, what are solutions, what are some individuals doing to create generational wealth. Go ahead, Tony. Next slide. And so, as I said, look at this. COVID-19, the coronavirus, it really, really, to be honest with you, it just showed how fragile so many businesses are, so many families are. And so one of the things that we're on a mission is to help elevate, success leaves footprints. That's real talk. And so I'm really excited because I just want to show these statistics, but also I want you to understand is that, they say when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I'm just here to say we've learned some things. Tony and I, you'll see right now in the next slide, we have worked with different organizations all throughout the world, but here are some. We've worked with various African American Chamber of Commerce. We've been very intentional because again, it's about, one thing I'm really clear about, do what you do the best, but also connect with others to do the rest. And so these are some different companies, businesses that we've worked with. And then continue, Tony. And then these are, different churches and mosques that we've worked with, right? And so what I want you to understand is that we're about making a difference. And as you can see, it's not just a one and done. I have an electrical engineering degree. Tony went to college basically on a not athletic scholarship. He got many offers to play football, but he said, no, I want to use my mind. So this brother got a academic scholarship in accounting. And so we've written books. And this is iPad Your Money. And that's what Tony's going to talk about tonight because we want you to understand what you do today will dictate where you'll be tomorrow. And what is iPad Your Money? iPad, increase, protect, and dominate your money. And also recession-proof retirement. That's what Tony and I, we co-wrote that book together, especially during COVID-19, because so many people had fear. So we want to encourage you. Everyone's different on this call. And so because we believe in the movement that Sister Melissa and the team are doing, we want to offer everyone a complimentary financial coaching session. You can go to ipadappointment.com because I promise you, what Tony's about to share these next 20 minutes, I promise you, you're going to be like, wow, I need to learn more. And there's no shame. And also, I want you to understand, this is not, like any kind of, hook, bait and switch. No, we just want to give. We have realized that when we give, we are blessed so much in return. So I want you to go ahead and go to ipadappointment.com. You'll receive your free. You can pick a time that's good for you. It's totally free. There's no obligation. Okay. It's just, and it's nice. I know some of you already have your business, your legacy wealth plan, but it's nice to get someone else's perspective. And that's what we want to share because each one teach one, each one reach one. We also have the QR code. You can go ahead and click that as well. So go ahead, Tony, next slide. And Tony's now going to talk about iPad Your Money. And again, our time is short. But again, the real value is when we come together. So I'm encouraging you, if something resonates with you, something you say, wow, man, these guys, okay, they seem, like they know their stuff. I'm here to tell you, go ahead. Because again, one thing I've realized, and I, I've seen other communities, other ethnic groups, they really flourish because sometimes it's taboo to talk about money and where you are. And this is a slide. Look at that, financial wellness. And that's really what we want, because I'll say this and then I'm going to turn it over to Tony. Stress or disease is not always what you're eating, it's also what's eating you. Let that sink in. Stress, not knowing. I mean, so many people. Did you know the number one fear of most retirees? Check this out. The number one fear of most retirees is outliving their money. What? Here you're the golden years of your life, and the number one fear is outliving your money. And so I'm going to turn it over to Tony now. This brother is amazing, and I'm going to tell you this. I've been blessed. I've spoken in 45 states, 18 countries. I'm leaving on Saturday. I'm the lead presenter for Tony Robbins' Global Youth Leadership Summit out in San Diego, and I've been doing that for 24 consecutive years. And I've been around Les Brown and Dr. George Fraser and Dr. Michael Roberts and so many. And, Robert Kiyosaki, right? Mark Victor Hansen, Chicken Soup for the Soul. And I have to tell you, many times, you see somebody on stage and you're like, wow, look at that person. And sometimes there's not congruency, meaning that behind closed doors, they may be a totally different person, a totally different personality. But one thing I can say, Tony Jackson is the real deal. And I'm grateful to call him not just my colleague, but also my brother. And he's come and spoken even at my family reunions. And he has a servant leadership spirit. So you're in for a real treat. And then we'll open it up for Q&A at the end. But again, I want to encourage you, go ahead and just ipadappointment.com. Reserve the time that you would like to have your own complimentary, no obligation financial wellness coaching call. Tony, I turn it over to you.
All right, thank you, Marla, and Sister Muhammad. Thank you for the invitation tonight. I am going to move really fairly quickly because I have a hard stop in about 15 minutes or so. But I want to get some of this information just to so that you guys can think about it, chew on it, schedule if you choose to do that. Do recommend that you do that. And again, this slide talks about financial wellness. And as I listen to Sister Muhammad and her 9-year-old and all this, because we're juggling all this stuff, right? We're juggling, our business, we're juggling work, we're juggling trying to eat right at home, the kids, all these things. And especially, I think women especially are juggling a lot as well. And so that's what financial wellness sometimes gets dropped, right? It gets dropped in the middle of this because we're juggling so many different things. And so when we talk about financial wellness, we're really talking about a pyramid of things. The first one's financial education. Marlon spoke about that. 78% of Americans are living from paycheck to paycheck. The African diaspora throughout the world is really dealing with a financial literacy and lack of financial literacy in some cases. And so financial wellness is important. Stock market, the global market, the US market. One of the things that we teach and coach is how to protect yourself from the market while still taking advantage of it. And so I won't be able to really get into it as deeply as I'd like to, but it's certainly something that we need to pay attention to. And we'll just touch on that a little bit. The other is taxation. And one of the goals that we do is try to put our clients in the lowest possible tax bracket, especially in retirement and then even beyond. On the bottom half of that is medical cost protection. We know that 60% of all foreclosures, 40% of all foreclosures, 60% of all bankruptcies are due to some type of major medical problem. And we know that, we don't have universal medical coverage here, like in many countries, many developed nations. And so medical costs is huge. And then, of course, there's that thing in the middle, legacy protection. What we're talking about in our environments, we're talking about life insurance. And one of the most popular seminars that I do is called GoFundMe Ain't Life Insurance, right? Although we treat it as though it is, it's really not. But even beyond that, it is a great tool to build and transfer wealth without paying taxes on it. And then obviously one of the things, and I love the title tonight too, is because, what about the estate plan? What about having a will, having healthcare power of attorney, having a trust so that we don't spend all our time doing everything else on this pyramid right, and then leave it up to the government, leave it up to the state in which we live in to decide what happens to our stuff. And so we think that's a very important part that just cannot be left off of this pyramid. So, increase, protect, and dominate your money. That is the name of my book, and I will do this tonight. I will make this offer. Is that anyone who schedules tonight, I will send you a free copy of my book. But the reason why I believe that title really dropped in my spirit is because most financial advisors deal with the increase part, right? That's what we do. The more of your money we manage, the more we make, regardless if you make money or not. That's just kind of how the work system works. And then you have insurance people that want you to buy a policy for everything. And so what you've had traditionally is you've had these two financial professionals very good at what they do, but they operate in their silos. And that's what's tearing up our community is that we tend to operate in silos. And so they don't talk to each other. They don't cross pollinate. They, in some cases, don't even like each other. But what we've found is this, we've found that if we can both increase our money and protect our money at the same time, now we begin to have dominion over our finances. So rather than reacting to what's happening on the world market, in the stock market, or even in Washington, D.C., or wherever, is now we're in control of our money and in control of our legacy. And so that's really what it's all about. But again, I'll be happy to send you a copy of that. What we are talking about here is this. How does money work? Most of the time, when we think of money and investments, we're thinking stocks, mutual funds, perhaps some real estate. And the great news with the stock market is that you can make a lot of money on the stock market. The flip side of that is you can lose a lot, right? So on one hand, I make a lot of money. The other hand, I can lose it. And so often in our communities, we'll say, well, I'll just put my money in the bank. I'll put it in Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Lloyd's of London, wherever it happens to be. I'll put my money there because the risk is so low. Well, the problem with low risk is that the return is low. And so when we're in a situation where worldwide inflation, certainly inflation in the United States, is going up higher and faster than our money is growing, we're still losing our buying power. And there's got to be a solution to that. And the solution that we bring to the market is called a fixed index strategy. What happens there is when the market goes up, your your values go up. But when the market goes down, you don't lose anything. Matter of fact, you get to keep anything that you've made in the previous years in addition to your principal that you've put in. And so this strategy really works for many people because it protects them from the downturn of the market. This is a historical perspective of what I just said. This is a 20-year period of time from 1999 through 2019. This is the S&P 500 largest publicly traded companies in the U.S. And as you can see that it's up and down, up and down. And in 2000, 2001, 2002, the market went down 3 years in a row. 9/11 was in the middle of that. Tech bubble burst in Silicon Valley. And then it was really bad. 2002, 23% drop in the market in 1 year. Well, then came 2008 and the market dropped 38% in 1 year. And mortgage crisis right before Obama took office and all these things. And so this is pretty devastating. Well, what's even more devastating is how long does it take to recover from these things? It took 8 years from the market to return from 99, took 8 years for it to get back to where it was. And then we stayed there 16 months, drops again 38%, takes us another 5 years. And I'm sure if I jumped in an airplane, flew to wherever you happen to be, and I told you I had this great investment for you, and put all your money in here, and I'm gonna come back in 13 years, and you're gonna have the same amount that you had when you started. Now, the way the market's gone, there's some people that may even sign up for that, but that's not what we want. That's not what we're looking to do. That is not legacy. That is not creating billionaires. And Marla, I know I see a couple things coming up in the chat. If you could kind of keep an eye on that for me, that'd be great. And all this again was before this thing called COVID came along and really turned the whole thing upside down. And so the question becomes, how do I avoid the next COVID? How do I avoid the next war in Ukraine or anything that may take the market and turn it upside down? And that's where this power of the fixed indexing comes in, because now instead of the market going down, I stay even. So when the market goes down, I stay right where I'm at. So I get out here to 2007 and 8 in our example, the market drops 38%. I don't lose a thing. And then when the market starts to go up, I start to go up with it. And what makes this work is the fact that I don't have these big losses that I got to make up for before I start making money again. And so the quickest way up is not to be going down. And so this is really what this strategy does. It takes advantage of this so that we do not lose money and therefore do not have to make up losses before we start making money again. And I'll be frank with you, my 28 plus years of doing this, we love to quote this guy, right? Warren Buffett may be the GOAT when it comes to investing across a number of industry for a number of years. Not somebody who made it big with one company like Jeff Bezos with Amazon or Elon Musk with Tesla, right? But just made it over a number of industries. And he said this, he said the number one rule in investing is to never lose money. And that makes sense, right? So, of course, the reporter says, well, if that's number one, what's number two? And Warren Buffett said simply number two is this: don't forget rule number one. And so, this indexing strategy is how we show everyday people like you and I, up to the ultra wealthy, how to be in a position where they're never losing money. And this is a practical example of what that looks like. Again, the market went down by 10%, 13%, and 23%. Indexing strategy, no losses at all. Market starts to go back up. 2008, market drops 38%. No losses with the indexing strategy. And although I do not believe that we live our life in averages, we live our life in real time. If you look at the average over 20 years, no reinvestment or anything like that, just straight values, the market averaged 4% compared to 10.2. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know averaging 10% over 20 years versus 4% is a heck of a lot better. And again, the reason this works is because we simply keep you out of the red. If you don't have to make up, if you don't have to make up for the things that are in red, then you can do better because you don't have to go back and make up for those things. And what's really thriving behind this phenomenal here is the use of options and those type of things, which I don't have time to really get into tonight, but that's what the institutional investors are doing on a very large scale, is they're using and leveraging options to make this happen. And the good thing about it is you don't have to learn to do the options. All this is kind of done as part of the overall program. Now, the other thing that's a big deal is taxes, 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 and the taxing authorities, they seem to get their money. This dollar you see on the screen is a dollar that represents every dollar collected by Internal Revenue Service. Basically, goes to 4 or 5 programs, including Social Security, interest, Medicare, and Medicaid. That is what our government calls non-discretionary spending. This money is spent before Congress even meets to decide what they're going to do. It's done before they decide who they're going to give military aid to. It's done before they decide who they're going to give any humanitarian aid to. All these things, this money is spent, about 92% of it. And so, and it's not getting any better. This right here is the US debt calculator that I took this snapshot maybe about 6 months ago. And here in the United States, um, they the government debt is over $38 trillion and growing. And the US government has assigned over 300,000 of that to each taxpayer, not citizen, taxpayer, right? And then we know that we owe foreign governments in debt, right? Over $8 trillion to foreign governments. You think that doesn't affect public policy? Come on, it's going to affect it. So all these things are factors. And what does that boil down to? It boils down to this. I ask people this question. It's like when you get your paycheck, do they take taxes out of it? And they don't be like, "Oh, Sister Muhammad, you've done a great job for us. We're not going to take any taxes out. You got a little girl. We're not going to take anything." They get you every time with taxes. And then most states charge a sales tax. So you're taking money that's already been taxed, and then you go and you buy something at the store. Hope you're not shopping at Target, but wherever you're going, you're going to pay more sales tax. And then you're going to file the income tax every year. And so if you haven't paid enough in, you got to pay more in taxes. And then when we die and our children receive this money that's sitting in our retirement accounts, they got to pay taxes on this money we've already been paying taxes on. And so we're just paying taxes after taxes after taxes, and there's really no end to it. And the scary thing is this dude ain't done with us here in the States, right? How much do you owe the IRS? Most people say I don't owe them anything. Well, guess what? If you go take your money out of your retirement account, they're gonna get you. Sometimes up to 40%. And so one of the things that we do is we do give you analysis of what that would look like, how much you're going to pay in taxes, so that we can start talk about how do we mitigate from it, right? Because most of us have no idea what that tax bill is going to look like. And so there's really why we talk about tax planning. Not tax preparation. Tax preparation is what we do every year, pay the least amount of taxes each year. Tax planning is how to pay the least amount of taxes in my lifetime. How do I take advantage of other things to mitigate my taxes? And so there's three buckets of money: taxable bucket, tax deferred bucket, and a tax-free bucket. And if I were to ask you which one of these buckets is better, I would assume most of us are going to say tax free. Well, if you did, you're right. The problem is we put most of our money in the tax deferred bucket. It grows tax deferred and then it comes out taxable. It never hits the tax free bucket. And what we said is if you put the money through the taxable bucket, allow it to grow tax deferred and then come out income tax free, that is a better way. And so we love this analogy. If you had $20,000, we'll call that a seed. 10x that money becomes 200,000. The question is, do you want to pay taxes on the seed or do you want to pay it on the harvest? And as for me and my house, I'd rather pay it on the seed. And so all of this kind of plays into this in terms of how do we leave a legacy? Because if we build this nest egg up and then the taxing authorities take most of it, that leaves less that we're leaving to our families. So here are the traditional money rules: market risk. We know, we've heard those cliches: you got to risk money, make money, all those type of things. Then there's the 59 and a half rule in the United States. It says if you take money out of your retirement before you're 59 and a half, there's taxes and penalty. There's a RMD rule. Again, if you don't take money out, they penalize you. And even if you play it according to all of the rules, they still tax you. And so what we believe in is the SMART rules. These are the Melissa Muhammad rules tonight. It says no market risk, no 59 and a half rule, no 73 rule, and no income tax. So my question becomes this: do you want to continue to play by the traditional money rules, or do you want to play by the SMART money rules? And so what we're teaching is teaching people to play by the SMART money rules rather than the traditional money rules. And I'm just going to kind of stop this right here because I do want to show this. And Maurice, I do, the book has not been released on Audible yet. I have interviewed my voice actors, and I do have the script. I just have to read through it and correct punctuations and pronunciations of words and that type of thing. But it's coming. This I want to just show this really, really quick. This is just an example of what could happen. This names have been changed here, obviously, to protect the innocent. So I use my name a lot on this. But what this does, it just gives you a couple examples. This first one that we're looking at is an example of a 19-year-old client that inherited some money from his grandmother. He was a college student, had dreams of playing in the NBA. It was becoming obvious that that dream was not going to happen when he inherited this money, put it in this plan, and basically put in 19,500 for 5 years. And then the bank, the financing, the leveraging, OPM, using other people's money, added another 217,000 to that. But the real amazing thing is what happens at the end of the story. At the end of the story here is that he's going to get supplemental income of more than $5 million, and it's all tax free. And even when he passes, it still leaves a inheritance for his beneficiaries or his trust of another $6 million. And it's simply using strategies, quite frankly, to be honest with you, that we don't know about in our community. And so what we do is we bring that information to our community. And then the other example here, and then it's we're this is a gentleman. I put my name on it just to again protect the innocent. But our desire is this. Our desire is to create this balancing act, right? So we want to balance how much money we have versus how much we have to give for taxes. We want to balance how much income I can take from my money versus how much I leave for legacy. I want to balance growth, right? Risk with protection. And so what we do is we're creating this balancing act. In this particular case, this gentleman had $1 million, and we were able to show him how much he would pay in taxes over his lifetime on that $1 million, with the growth and et cetera, et cetera. And with that, he would pay over $900,000 in taxes over his lifetime and upon his death, versus we can reallocate that money to tax-free vehicle, and he pays $200,000 in taxes, saves over $500,000 in taxes, and it's perfectly legit, right? And so the other problem that he had is how much income will he get from that $1 million? And most financial advisors will tell you can't take more than 3.5% of your money out, or you will run the risk of it running out. This example uses a higher amount than that, but still, if he wanted that money to last his entire lifetime, he couldn't take more than about $5,000 a month. Well, when he really wants to take is $10,000 a month. But at $10,000 a month, he runs the risk of that money running out in about 10 years. And so what we were able to do is, I'm going to skip this. What we were able to do is show him how to take that $1 million, how to divide it up into two vehicles: a fixed index annuity, uh, uh, a life insurance policy called an index, an enhanced policy. And so basically, we roll over a portion of it, create this lifetime income for him that would never run out, right? So even with taking just 35% of his money, we were able to create more income for him than he could through the traditional investing. And then step two is we take another uh, another 35%, and we put that into this index universal life, creates a death benefit, creates tax-free income, creates things to cover critical illness, chronic illness, and then we relieve the remaining 30% in AUM. And basically what happens when we do all of this is we can create for him about $131,000 a year income, as opposed to the 59,000 that he would get if he took the traditional route. So those are some of the things we can do. I have to stop there. And I got just a minute or two that I could maybe take a question or two. And then I'm going to leave you in the hands of my business partner, Marlon Smith.
Wow, thank you, Tony. That was amazing. Melissa, anyone want to share any questions, any feedback?
Yeah.
One of the things that I want you to understand is that this isn't new, but it's just that so many of us are just not privy, right? And they say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result.
Mhm.
And I'm going to bring up a slide a little later, but I want to, while Tony's here, he has another commitment. Just wanted to open it up. If anybody has any questions for Tony, any feedback, would love to hear from you.
Thank you, Marlon and Tony. Excellent presentation thus far. My thought is you said, I'm going to keep this for life, Marlon. Do what you do best and connect on the rest. So now we're on the connect on the rest. And, a lot of times we count ourselves out, right? We're busy running businesses, Marlon and Tony. We have over 6,000 businesses in our network. Yeah, it has grown faster than anything I could have imagined.
Wow.
So all of these entrepreneurs, when do we have time for this? When do we how
Exactly.
how can we, it's overwhelming. I don't understand IUL. I don't understand any of that stuff and I don't want to understand. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't
That's
I
what
want
I do. That's what I do.
I want my payment every month. I don't want to be worried about all that other kind of stuff. So tell me, how do we think? What do we do? How, I know you said we can do the consultation, which what we're going to do, Miracle, is promote this to all of our members to set up a consultation. But how, I would be afraid. I don't understand all of that stuff. How do we take the steps?
Well, I want to say, let me say this, Sister Melissa, on this, Sister Muhammad, is one of the things that from Dr. George Fraser to Michael Roberts to people that we know,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that they've told me over and over again is that my gift is to be able to take these complex financial matters and break them down in a way that we all can understand them because they can be complicated. They can be
Mm-hmm.
complicated. The one bug that I do want to throw out here too, as we talk about business owners, most business owners or many business owners have reserves, right? We have to, because if we don't have reserves, we run the risk of our businesses going insolvent if something happens. And even a lot of the things that I talked about, we could take those reserves and have those reserves working for us to create these programs, and then if the need arises we still have access to it in the case of emergency. And so it's like no money flowing out of your pocket. It's the money that's sitting in the bank that's not earning nothing, that we can show you how to dual purpose that, create one of these programs so that instead of earning that 4% that the bank is giving you, you're getting 12% plus all these other benefits, a lot of the things that I talked about in that presentation. So I did want to just mention that.
Okay, so you it sounds like you're saying we could set up a system for our business so that we can put money away, still access it, but it can be working in the background. Like that, because straight up that's
Absolutely.
what we need. We don't I don't have, one of the things I really trust you all. And we've been at events together. You all work with some very high profile people. You work with billionaires, millionaires. So to me, I it's important to put people that I personally trust in front of our businesses, right? I don't know the products, but I know you all are focused on Black people. I know you all have a commitment to making Black people wealthy. And I know for our business owners, I don't want them to stress
Mhm.
because, I mean, they're going to stress in business. But while we're coming to you all is to say, look, we just need something that's operating in the background that's a business. The structure. If we're doing 20 a month, 100 a month, 500 a month, just something that the system is in place. because
Right.
we get very high dollar value contracts, Tony, and I'm talking 55 million, 60 million, $15 million contracts in other countries. And as this money is coming in, I just started to think, look, we can't. Where's the money going to go?
Right.
We're not going to have time to, go figure all of that out. So I said, look, we need to go ahead and put a team in place so that as
Yep.
our businesses, this money is coming in, they've already set up for our businesses in the background where this money should be placed so that we can leave for our children, we can live with our families, we don't have to stress over mortgages, because many of us try to do this stuff by ourselves. And
Right.
this is one thing that gets thrown under the bus. And because we deal in high dollar contracts, my thought process is legacy. And I don't want our businesses to have to try to figure out where to put that money, because if it's in your bank account, you're going to burn through it.
Right, exactly. And the other thing I want to say to that is we have programs, and people don't realize these things are out there. You can donate. I mean, we have a situation where we can get a 5-to-1 tax credit for donations. So, for example, we can buy medical equipment, donate it to a nonprofit, and you may buy, say, $50,000 worth of equipment, right? But your donation write-off is 250,000.
Mm,
And so not only does it help us in terms of creating legacy, but it also helps us to reduce the tax burden for the money that's coming in. And we just
oh,
don't know those things exist because I'll be honest with you, I get invited into rooms, and I'm the only I have two right now. I'm the only one that looks like us out of 1,200 people that's getting this information. I think there's one white female and me, and the rest are white males.
mm,
And my thing, and you know my
mm-hmm,
heart is for our people to, I mean, I've gone to some of these insurance companies and say, listen, if you don't hire somebody that looks like me,
mm-hmm,
I'm taking my business elsewhere. Everybody I know, and I'm telling you, they do it because they know that they got to, or otherwise we'll walk. But you know, so I'm all about our people, and and that I love. You guys are probably familiar with Boyce Watkins. I mean, I love B1, right? Because
mm-hmm,
B1
mm-hmm.
it stands for Black First, right? I
Right,
say it all the time. It's Black First, not Black only,
right, right,
right? But it's Black First, and that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I ain't doing nothing different, and I refuse to believe that I have to put servicing other people in front of my own people in order to be successful. I don't believe that. I'm not
right.
in it. You can't tell me that. And there's companies that tell me that. Well, you can't run a program and only invite black people. Yes, I can.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Watch me. Come to one of my top golf events. It'll be full of black people.
That's right.
Just had one in National Harbor, room
Yeah.
full of black people.
Yeah.
Wait
And
a minute. Wait a minute. Wait. I'm sorry. You're in Maryland, Tony?
No, I have these tours. I'm taking them all over. Baltimore, Washington, Atlanta, Fort Mill, and it's just about teaching our people some of the things that I touched on tonight.
Oh, I live near National Harbor. That's why I
I'm
asked.
coming back. I'm coming back.
Okay.
I'm coming
yeah.
back in October for my
Okay.
third one in the DMV.
Okay.
Yep.
Go ahead,
So
Marley.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and thank you, Phyllis. Great presentation. We appreciate that. Yeah, you'll definitely get the recording. But I also want to encourage everyone. Listen, a couple things that Sister
I have to
Melissa
exit.
Muhammad.
So Marlon, I'm sorry to interrupt, but they're waiting in my waiting room, so I got to
Okay,
go.
thank you.
Love you
Thank you,
all.
Tony.
And
Yeah,
I can't wait to talk to you one on one, and we figure out what we can do to help you.
All right.
thank you,
Thank you
All
Tony.
so
right.
much.
Appreciate you, brother.
Blessings, everybody.
All right, all
Bye.
right. So, as you were saying, I mean, do what you do the best, connect with others to do the rest. And I think one of the things I want to share, when I lived in South Africa, there's a word called Ubuntu. and it means I am because we are. I see Sister Miracle, nodding her head. And once you can get that concept, the African proverb, right? Go alone, you can go only so far. You want to go far, right? You go together. So my point is that trust. And I want to encourage everyone on this call. There's 11 of us now. I want to encourage everyone. Just go ahead and just reserve your complimentary, no obligation, free, legacy wealth coaching call with Tony. It's all private. No, nothing's going to be shared. But again, we have to take that step. I'm very clear. Look, I studied electrical engineering in school, so I'm very analytical. And we can talk, 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 but nothing happens unless we take action. And so again, I just want to, and then Tony's saying, look, for anybody who reserves their complimentary coaching call with me, I'm going to mail you my book, iPad Your Money. I mean, to me, it's like, look, what else do you need to do? Because again, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over, expecting a different result. So, Sister Muhammad, yeah, you're right. Systems. I mean, that's it. The real key is while you're sleeping, your money should be creating wealth. I mean, if I was to ask you, how many of you have a will? How many of you have a trust? I mean, this is real talk. And in Tony's book, he talks about it, right? The godfather of soul, James Brown, didn't have a will. And they're still fighting over it. Prince didn't have a will. Do you hear what I'm saying? So we got to do better. But so, and the thing is, Stephen Covey, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, he talks about quadrant 2 living, doing what's important, but not urgent. Let that sink in. You may say, okay, yeah, Tony, I'll get around to it. Yeah, I want to, get a coaching call, because you're right, Sister Muhammad. I can only do so much. But if I can connect with others who are specialists, and I really appreciate, you would not bring us on if you didn't trust. And that's the key. And so, for your 6,000, business owners, listen, take action. I know this is recorded, and I know that, many people are going to watch the recording. I just want to say, take action. What do you have to lose? We can't do it all in a, 45-minute webinar, because everyone's at a different place. That's why Tony showed 2 different clients. I want y'all to catch that. A young boy, 19, right, who received an inheritance. And he invested 19,500, right, out of the inheritance when his grandmother passed away for 5 years. That's 97,500. The bank matched, and as you saw, I think it was like 200 some thousand the bank put in. And then when this boy, check this out, when he's 65, that's it. He invested 97,500. When he's 65, because the power of compound interest. How many of you know the rule of 72? Just type it in the chat box for me, yes or no. Do you know the rule of 72? And again, there's no shame, but type it in the chat box. If you know the rule of 72, just type yes or no. I just want to see. Okay, excellent. Sanaa knows it. Yes. Right? Anybody else? Just type it in the chat box, yes or no. The reason why is because when I learned this, life took on a new meaning. All right. So thank you. Carolette said no. Maurice says yes. Basically, Carolette and others, rule of 72 and Einstein said compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. And so check this out. The rule of 72 is, if you divide your ROI, or your interest that you're receiving on your money, into 72, that will give you the number of years your money will double. Okay. And thank you, Pascal, for being honest. Okay. No. So check this out. Rule of 72. If I get a 12% return, I just want y'all to hear what I'm about to say. 12% return. 12 goes into 72. How many times? 6. So if I get a 12% return on my money, that means I put my money into this vehicle, boom, I go to sleep, 12% return every year. After 6 years, that money will double. So let me break it down. If I have $1,000, we're going to use, simple numbers, $1,000. After 6 years, that $1,000 turns into what? 2,000. After another 6 years, right? 12 years in, y'all catching me? 2,000 turns into what? 4,000. After another 6 years, 18 years in, right? You're sleeping. That money's just, moving. You talked about systems, Sister Muhammad. Yeah, right? You want processes. I'm an electrical engineer. I know you got to have systems. If you're tied to your job, you don't have a business. Your business needs to grow where you got other people and or you make investments and things are moving while you're sleeping. That's it. Financial freedom. And so after what would I say? I'm at 1,000 turns into 2,000, right? 6 years in. 2,000 turns into 4,000, 12 years in. 4,000 turns into 8,000, right? 18 years in. Check this out. Y'all tracking with me, right? One turns into two, two turns into four, right? Then all of a sudden, this is what I love. 4,000 turns into 8,000, right? 24 years. 8,000 turns into 16,000, 30 years. So what I'm saying to you is that a $1,000 investment 30 years later, right? Turn into 16,000. I mean, now you can multiply. Sister Muhammad, you're talking about millions of dollars, right? Contracts. But again, one of the things we have to understand, we have to shift our mindset, right? The reason why I brought up the fact that two of my brothers passed away 7 months apart is because this is real for me. Last year, I have four friends, three of them, all four African American friends, three of them in their 50s passed away. So when you can feel my passion. This is no joke. Tomorrow is not promised. And the question is your financial house in order? Because I'm going to say something to you. One of three things are going to happen to all of us. Either we're going to die too early. Think about that. We're going to die too early. We're going to get sick, or we're going to live too long. One of those three things. And you have to ask yourself, am I ready for all three? I'm going to say it again. Either you're going to die too early, get sick, or live too long. And some of you right now say, wow, die too early. Okay. I mean, do you have your financial house in order? Unfortunately, my two brothers didn't. And so, no, we didn't pass around or a chicken meal or pass around the plate. No, I took care, and some other family members to, actually have my brothers have a phenomenal homegoing service. Get sick. Tony just showed you, I think it was 60 some percent of all foreclosures, right? Come unpaid medical bills. People have health insurance, but what's going on? And live too long. What am I talking about there? The number one fear of most retirees is outliving their money. So what I'm sharing, what I want us to understand, and I know we're going to conclude, but I just want you to feel our heart. And Sister Muhammad and Miracle and the team, we'd love to partner with you. We can really do some things, right? Because I think, again, and I love that you really tapped into that. Do what you do the best and connect with others to do the rest. You will never grow. There's only 24 hours in a day. But again, it's about trust. And I challenge everyone who's watching this recording, everyone who's here with us right now, schedule your appointment. iPadappointment.com. You have nothing to lose. Tony will also mail you his book, complimentary. And to me, that's what it's about. Because again, what we do today will dictate where we'll be tomorrow. And when I learned the rule of 72, I was in my 20s. It was a game changer. Because I started already like, okay, if I say, and again, here's something else. Delayed gratification. Richest man in Babylon always talks about there's three things, right? I see Miracle down in her head. Three things. When you get that $1, the first thing you should do is tithe the first 10%. Why? It's a spiritual law. It's abundance. If I get $1 and I say I'm going to give 10% away, it's a spiritual law. It's like I am trusting that, I come from abundance. I want to give 10% away. The second 10%, save. Save. Things happen, right? As we all know, right? Third 10%, invest. Invest. And then you live off the 70%. And one of the things I want us to understand is that credit cards Man, I mean, to be honest with you, it's like monopoly money. How many of you can relate to me when I say, man, when I pull out my credit card, it's like it's not even money until that bill comes. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But it's funny, but if I have to pull out some cash, oh, check this out, y'all. If I go in my wallet and I pull out some cash and I have to give this cash away, it's like I'm like, please come back. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's gone. So but again, when we're so used to using credit cards, right? And I got all the credit cards, the platinum and all this and that. But the thing is that mm-mm, I'm not going to be captive. I'm not going to be in debt. So I just want to share. I'm just sharing some things with you, And one of the things I'm going to share this real quick, and then we'll open up and close out. But I want to first of all say thank you for your time. Time is our most precious commodity. So for those of you that are still on with us live and we open it up, I just want to say thank you. I hope you can feel that Tony and I and Sister Muhammad, you're right. Like listen, we roll with some very successful individuals. Why? Because they understand, hey, they do what they do the best and they connect with others to do the rest. And in closing, I just want to share one last thing with you because to me, I hope you can see my screen. Can you see my screen? Okay, I see you're nodding your head. So, what Tony's talking about, and that's why again we just don't know. If we know better, we'll do better. J.C. Penney, 1929, used the same thing that Tony's talking about, and Tony has many vehicles, so I don't want to just get locked in on one. But he used this. Check this out. Basically, used cash value in his life insurance policies to meet payroll and day-to-day expenses. Remember, Sister Muhammad, you're talking about systems, right? And that allowed his company to ultimately rebound from the Great Depression. And today the company has an annual revenue of 12 billion. 1939, Foster Farms, right? Borrowed $1,000, 1939, and to invest in an 80-acre chicken farm. And today, Foster Farms' products are sold all over the world. 1955, Disneyland. What? Unable to secure a large enough bank loan. Isn't that interesting? Check this out, because during COVID-19, I showed you that statistic, 42% of African American businesses, went out of business, right, during COVID. And a lot of times it was because didn't have the relationships with the bankers, right? And we know what that's about. But also you can fund yourself. So this is what Walt Disney borrowed against his own cash value life insurance policy to help finance Disneyland, right? And today that's 70 billion. So if he got denied from banks, but then he said, okay, hey, I can access some cash. Because yeah, you got to have access to capital to grow. McDonald's, 1961. I don't eat McDonald's, but check this out. Ray Kroc, he bought out the partners, the McDonald brothers. He used from cash value of his two life insurance policies to cover the salaries of key employees. And also to fund the marketing campaign for the new mascot, Ronald McDonald. The franchise has since grown to 37,000 stores in over 100 countries. And then Pamper Chef, last one. Doris Christopher used a policy loan of $3,000 to start her new kitchenware company. And the company was later purchased by Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway for $1.5 billion. Why am I sharing this with you? If this is Black and Global Business Network, we need to know. We need to understand how other businesses have grown, how other businesses, when they're going through some lean years, what do they do to stay afloat? So brothers and sisters, I hope that you've enjoyed tonight. I know you can feel my passion. I can go on for another half hour. Oh, I ain't afraid. I ain't afraid up in here, up in here. But I'm just saying, I want to be respectful because I know, Miracle, you are hanging on, girl. Rwanda, I mean, it's already wee hours of the morning. So I commend you and got a beautiful smile. You are doing it, okay? And so, again, I just want to encourage everyone to just say to yourself, okay, and here's the litmus question. And last thing I'll say, if I had only known back then, oh Lord, what I know now,
Mm-hmm.
how would my life be different?
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. If I had only known back then what I know now, how would my life be different? And what I'm saying to you is we are excited to partner with Black and Global Business Network. And I know not everyone's going, step up. It's okay. But for those that are ready to say, you know what, I want to learn, I want to grow. I want to have that legacy wealth.
Mhm.
I want to do what I do the best, and I want to connect with others to do the rest. The real money coach. Okay, yeah, let me learn more. No obligation. Then I say go for it. And in closing, remember this: a vision without action is just a dream. A lot of action without a vision is merely a passing of time. But a vision, yes, with action can change the world. I am Marlon Christopher Smith, reminding you there's greatness within you. Live with purpose because our success is our choice. Thank you.
Thank you, Marlon. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Excellent presentation. Thank you all so much. You know, it was important to us as we talk about building $1 billion bloodline, that it's not spooky. It's not something that falls out of the sky. It takes intentional work. So we're hyper transparent here at Black and Global. So a few things to say. So we're not making money off of this transaction. This is what I want you all to know. We're not getting paid. I don't. There's nothing other than literally we need to position our businesses to be able to grow and scale. And so I want to say very clearly, I don't understand insurance policies. I operate in a phobia of insurance policies because I don't understand them. I don't know how they work, and I don't understand what's the compensation model. How much money do you make? How much money do I lose? And so, this is why, to me, what I loved about the Real Money Coach is that there's an educational component. And so, what's important, I don't want people to rip me off or to rip us off. And so, my thought process was okay, we approach this as a group, as we do with everything in Black and Global, and especially with the momentum clients and our members, that we, as we're getting these contracts in other countries, as we are bringing our money back to the US, I don't want to go and just park this money in somebody's bank and these people don't have any intention or any focus for us. So, what I'm asking is that if you all would set up an appointment and just go through the free consultation, and that's what I'm going to do. And Marlon, we do things like this. Like, I don't like borrowing money, right? And so, but I've been told, as I shared, that I'm short sighted, focused on me, because the business it will be limited to my revenue. I have to think this business is bigger than me. So I have to put myself in a position to be able to access capital. And so 1 month, we all went out and applied for lines of credit. Now that overcame my fear because I don't like debt and I don't like borrowing money. But what ended up happening was I took a class on revolving debt. Revolving credit. I didn't understand it. I didn't know. I just didn't trust, like you said. Man, I took that class, Marlon. Oh my goodness. No, seriously. What you just said about if I knew then, what I knew back, literally, I took this class for 30 days, 4 mastermind classes. This time I didn't cry about paying the fee, I just paid it. And so, because I was too afraid to apply for the loans um, without understanding. And so, and I knew I wasn't going to pick it up. I'm too analytical. I need information is comforting. So I said, no, Melissa, we're going to limit this to 30 days. That gets past my having to overanalyze. So I had to finish it in 30 days. And when I finished that class, it was the fourth weekend. And before that 30 days was out, I paid off, let me see, $36,000 in debt. No, that's not the crazy thing, Marlon. I paid off $36,000 in debt with what I already had. I didn't add a dime. I didn't get money from anywhere. All I learned how to do was how to reposition the money to revolve the debt. It's what Tony said earlier, is what I did not know. And once I put this, listen, I called this, I text this lady. I said, listen, I want to give you a testimonial. She didn't even ask me for one. I said, I need to give you a testimonial because in my head, I said, wow, this is such a lesson I just did not know. And after I took this class and the peace of mind that I got was more valuable than any investment that I could have had. I didn't get a raise. I didn't get extra money. I didn't get extra income. I just took the tools she told me, repositioned the money we currently had, and wiped out $36,000 in debt that I was slated for 3 more years to pay off. You understand? So, this is why I wanted you all to come and talk tonight because um, it's what we don't know. Like, for example, Black and Global can get contracts. Like I was talking about, we're looking for 10 automotive suppliers to take to South Africa for contracts. And they just simply don't know. I tell the US government, you don't see Black businesses standing in front of these contract opportunities because we don't have talent. That's not the issue. We don't know. We don't know. And it's the same thing with what you all do. We simply do not know. And instead of us spending time in these rooms with you and Tony, we need you all to spend your time in these rooms so that, but we still benefit from the information. And so, as tonight, as we ask everybody, and we're going to do a promotional campaign within our network. And Miracle, if you would help her, Marlon, with the content of what you want to put out, and our CTA will be to book the meeting with you all. Because even if you meet with them and you put a structure in place for $100 a month, $1,000 a month, what are you going to lose? I'm not getting paid. I promise you, I'm not. What are you going to lose? I'm going to share this in my vulnerability of it all. I am on a weight loss journey. I'm on a health journey. And my coach told me, she said, listen, Melissa, just eat the way I'm saying and lose the weight. Do what I'm telling you to do. And then 6 months later, if you want to gain it all back, just gain it all back. She's like, what you got to lose? So that's true. It's very, very, very true. So this is why we're encouraging everybody tonight. What do you have to lose if you put your system in place and it's $100, $1,000, whatever it is? My goal for you is to grow your legacy, your wealth over time, so that as you put these policies or you put this system that Marlon and Tony will design for you in place, when revenue comes in for you, you have a recurring meeting with them over whatever period of time. And then you put the money where they tell you to put the money. You don't have to put all of your money there. You don't have to do that, but you want to be able to pay your bills for your business to be able to pay your bills if your money is down, if your contract is not paid, if there's a contract dispute. Don't live in stress. What happened for me in the class that I took, I don't live in stress. I don't stress over payroll. I don't stress over anything. I just can't. I'm so upset that I didn't learn this stuff earlier. So I really, Marlon, I'm hoping that everyone will take advantage of what you guys are doing. I think is so important for our community. And I think that we definitely will be stronger and our businesses will be stronger as we incorporate when they get these contracts, even if they start with a small amount and they're consistent. If that's what we're looking for them to do so they can be
Excellent.
strong.
Excellent. No, Sister Muhammad, thank you so much. And we're excited to work with you, right? Because I guess as the leader, right, one of the leaders, seeing is believing. And I
Mm-hmm.
think just like you were talking about, giving that testimony to the lady, talking about revolving credit, I believe that Yeah, we're I'm grateful to have the opportunity, for us to work with you and Miracle and Carolette and everyone else, right? Sanan, Maurice, and Pascal, and others who are watching this. Because let me say this: you talked about, just having that peace. Ooh, come on now, come on. I share the reason why I share about my two brothers passing away because I have three nieces and two nephews, and I made a commitment to each of my brothers at their wake. Standing over their casket. My brother Sean in February 2009, my brother Greg September 2009, and I made a commitment that whatever I do for my children, I'm going to do for my nieces and nephews. I can't replace you. I can't replace their father, but I want them to have the same benefits. And once I learned about, what Tony is going to be sharing with each of us individually, I was like, wow, this is great. And so I actually have some, it's amazing. Because again, if I had only known back then what I know now, but I went ahead and made some investments for my two children, as well as my three nieces and two nephews. And each one of them, when they turn 65, I want y'all to listen to what I'm about to say. When they each turn 65, each one of them will have over $1 million tax free,
Mm. Wow.
right?
Wow.
So again, that seed, right? That seed and compound interest, rule of 72, and that's what it's about, right? What does it profit a man or woman to gain the whole world, lose his or her soul, right? I'm generational wealth, black and global business network. So I just wanted to share that. I mean, how many of us have children? Just type in the chat box. Do you have a children or grandchildren or niece or nephew? Huh? Type in the chat box. Okay. Yes. Yes. Right. Right. Four children. Melissa. Wow. You look good,
Yeah.
Sister Muhammad. You look good now. All right
Thank
now. Carolette, yes. Maurice. Oh, Maurice got five. Okay, Maurice. Okay, you the champ, Maurice. All right. And so we're gonna pray for you, Maurice. I know it ain't easy. I
you.
got two.
Pascal has 8.
Pascal, come on, Pascal. Stop playing. Okay. But the point of the matter is, I mean, how would you feel? Come on, somebody, for
Mm-hmm.
you to say, man, my children, my grandchildren, my great grandchildren are taken care of, right? Taken care
Mm-hmm.
of, right? So that they can live their dreams, not be a slave to the system, right? Financial freedom, right? So you can do what you're born to do. So I'll be quiet, but I just wanted to share. You really prompted, and think about our children and our children's children. That's all I'm saying, because it starts now. For you to be on
Yeah.
this call right now, you are blessed because now, okay, you're learning some new things, and when when you schedule your appointment, that's when it's going to get real personal because it's going to be looking at your situation. What are your dreams? What are your goals? Where are you right now? And so, anyways, I just wanted to share that. Thank you. I'll go back on mute.
All right. Thank you, everybody. So, are there any questions as we wrap up? We have about 11 minutes. Any questions that anybody has?
Or
No?
any feedback. Love to hear. The doors it's open. So, questions or feedback. Was this good information? How are you feeling? Anything. Don't be
Any
shy.
feedback? Any feedback?
And
Pascal?
if you want to type it in, you can type it in too. Or you can come. Oh, but Miracle has her hand up. Look, Miracle
Okay.
don't play. Okay, Sister Muhammad, she don't play.
I know. I was going to share Pascal is in Zimbabwe, by the way. Yeah, he's
I
in Zimbabwe.
love, I love, okay, Zimbabwe, Victoria Falls. Oh, come on now, stop playing.
Oh, great. Go ahead, Miracle.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Marlon and Tony, even if he's not here. Generally, I think the information was very apt, very intense as well. And, as young people, I think this is very timely because the funny thing is, like a few weeks ago, last week, I was in Sri Lanka for a conference, a youth conference. And while I was there, I mean, I met a lot of people, majority of whom were white, and a good number of people were, they were doing pretty well, had a lot of money, and could afford a good number of things. And I started asking myself questions like, at what point in life do you think you'd be able to afford things that you actually need, not like want, but things you need without over calculating it? And what do you need to do to get to that point? And I mean, I began to reflect on what's your finance right now? How do you grow it? What's investment? I started to look up. I knew about real estate, but I said look up more about real estate. I started to read up about mutual funds, bonds, and a couple of other things that you could do to generate revenue. And I feel like this is very, very, very timely because it's a very big question for us young people. We are always asking, how do we expand our revenue? And for me, it's very personal. For me, I feel like it's timely. I loved it so much. I enjoyed every bit of it. And also talking about the health aspect, and when you were talking about financial health in general, it made me remember a concept I had read about recently, One Health, where when you're talking about health, you're not just talking about health as your body, you're talking about health in general, where you're talking about your environment, you're talking about what you eat, you're talking about people you talk to, emotional, mental stability, and talking about financial stability right now as well is really eye opening, really, really satisfying. And I think, like Melissa said, peace is gradually becoming a mantra for me. And this is one of those opportunities where I experience it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I want to say thank you, Melissa, because let me say something. As a young person, one.
Miracle.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's a yeah. It's part of the M. Us M and M. But yeah, Miracle. Thank you, because I want to say, just by association, they say, proximity is power. And so for you to connect at a young age, Black and Global Business Network, and for you to be educating yourself, going to conferences, I just want to commend you. I want to say this. When I resigned from Hewlett Packard, I worked at IBM systems engineer. January 15th, 1992, I decided to resign and give up the company car, the company credit card. People thought I had lost my mind. I was living out in Silicon Valley, and I'm from Maryland, Silver Spring, Maryland. And so family, friends called me up. My grandmother called me up from Washington, D.C., y'all. And she said, baby, what you doing? I said, Grandma, I'm a motivational speaker. I'm motivating young people, Grandma. She said, she said, baby, you better get motivated. You better get that job back. Okay. And that's where my grandmother was. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because I want you to understand. Come on, somebody. When you do what you love, my friend Dr. Dennis Kimbrough, author of Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice, he said this. He said, Marlon, most people work for 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week to play on the weekend. That's why we have this thing called TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. But the question is what would you do for free? What do you love to do? What comes easy to you? Because watch this, watch this. If you can turn your play into your work, if you can turn your play into your work, theoretically, you'll never work a day in your life. And so, what I'm here to say is that for us, Black and Global Business Network, do what you do the best, do what you love to do. I love speaking. And I get compensated very well. And it's just amazing because when you do what you love, it's fun, right? You turn your play into your work. But here's what I really want to say. I learned, like I'm an engineer, I'm very analytical. So I had my business plan. When I resigned from Hewlett Packard, January 15th, 1992, to start my own business. And, I said, oh, I got my business plan. And I implemented my business plan. Man, my projections were wrong. My marketing, Sister Muhammad, you nod in your head, right? I thought I was going to get 3% return. I ain't get no percent. People ain't pay me. I was like, what is going on? But here's what I want to say. Woo, come on, somebody. Faith and fear cannot operate at the same time. I want y'all to hear what I'm saying. For those of you that are on the fence, oh, I don't know if I want to call Tony. I don't want to know if I want to schedule an appointment. Schedule it. Step into it. Because watch this. Faith and fear can't operate at the same time. And whatever's holding you back, I'm here to tell you, you got to press through. For us to be our best, we got to press through. And one of the things I can say over the last 33 years, having lived in South Africa, having given presentations in 18 countries, 45 states, the one thing I can say is this. Watch this. As I look back, yeah, I had my business plan and all that. It's relationships. And it's like one domino hits another domino, hits another domino, hits another. Just even when Miracle and Sister Muhammad invited us to come speak, right? Met years ago, but the timing was right. And now we're going to be able to bless Carolette and Maurice and Pascal. And do you hear what I'm saying? Like, that's It's just one domino hits another domino, hits another domino. And so I want to encourage you, Miracle, and everyone. We have to treasure the relationships. Black and Global Business Network. And again, be a giver. Be a giver to this network because you receive so much more when you give than when you receive. So I just wanted to share that. But Miracle, you're doing the right thing. And everyone, even for those of you on this call still, it just says a lot about you because time is our most precious commodity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marlon. And thank you, Miracle. And so, even if you're in other countries, because some of our members are based in other countries, still schedule the appointment because financial markets are all over the world. What you want to know is just put a system in place that you can work on once a year and you don't have to think about it. This is how I operate. I focus on money 1 quarter out of the year. I don't want to think about it the rest of the year. I want to be on cruise control. That's how I like to live. I like to live in financial peace. And so, and I want to make part of our repertoire at Black and Global for the company to meet with the real money coaches once a year so that we can have that type of operation for the business. So with that, everybody, thank you all, Marlon. Excellent job. And we're going to make sure that Marlon's going to share his book with Tony, with everyone that schedules a call. And when we meet with Tony, we want be clear about how he's getting compensated. We want him to get compensated. We do not do free99.com. We do not do free99.com. We pay people for their services. We want them to make money because if they earn money, they take care of themselves and their families, and then they're able to serve us in peace from a place of peace. And that's what we're looking for. So we expect to make sure that they earn a great percentage of what they do for us. So that's how we do in this part of the world. So thank you, everybody. And as I love to continue to say, I am your sister and servant, Melissa Muhammad. We are the Black and Global Business Network, globalizing our connections, keeping us in the Black, and we'll see you around the globe. Good night, everybody. Thanks, Marlon.
Good night, everyone. Stay blessed.